So I'm coming to you on New Year's Eve, and I'll start up firstly saying the plan for the show is we're going to move it to a Tuesday now moving forward. Part of the reason for that is we've got the highlights package, and rather than drop that on the Tuesday on social media, we're going to put that on the Monday, and then I'll just slot into the Tuesday. Obviously, on the Thursday, you've got View from the Pen that comes out, but it just gives us a better cadence of shows through the week. So I'll be coming to you every Tuesday now moving forward. But with this show, I want to continue what we did last week, which was kind of just looking at the year that's been all the way back from the September 2023, where we kind of sat down and discussed launching this club, just a handful of people, to where we are now with over 275 owners, and it's incredible that growth. And then the future is how do we get that up to the 500 owners? How do we get the club promoted? And that's the journey that we just need more people to step up and say, hey, I'll help out. It can be a small bit, but it makes a big difference. But what I'm going to do is look through because last time we looked up to, well, here's the first friendly and that journey because I wanted to break it into two, else it becomes too long a show. So this time we're going to look at from that first friendly, which was in July, which was obviously incredible. Yeah, we lost 8-1. But Canvey Island are a much stronger club, much further up the leagues than we were ever going to be at this stage. It would have been a tough game for the old East Thurrock, if you're going to be honest, as a pre-season game, but we're able to get that. And it was good to have over 250 people down there for our first game. And yeah, I had a phenomenal time that day, and thank you to everyone that came. Um, so that was there. And then we got to July. Sorry, that was July. And we also got into the league. So that was one of the other things that happened in July, really close to sort of where our first pre-season game was, but we got confirmed into the league. And the plan initially all along was get into a league that is the tier 12. So um, the top 10 leagues are effectively stadium football. You've got to have floodlights, you've got to have stands. And then you get everything below that. I call it the top of park football because if you don't need a stand, then effectively, in my eyes, it's park football. Um, there's still great football getting played, but it's that difference between you don't need too much. You need sort of dressing rooms to suddenly you need stands, covered standing. You need floodlights, and that's where it's the jump there is bigger than Championship to Premiership. That is the stark difference between the two. So we always knew we weren't going to have those facilities year one. So we looked at sort of do we want to go straight in at tier 11, and we decided that just wasn't the ideal scenario because we can't really turn around to a league and go, hey, we haven't really got much yet, but we reckon we'll get it done. We felt we were best suited in one below that, so in tier 12, because there were the ambitions to have it all in within 2 years. So we continue those ambitions that we want to be able to get promoted after our second season. So that's why we said, hey, can we get into that league? And it was actually when we contacted the Essex Suffolk and Border League, said, hey, we want to get in there. And they said, we'll do a ground inspection and then we'll let you know what tier we think you belong in. Because it was very much down to, hey, we'll come see what's going on. Obviously, there's a brand connected to the name already because of what the previous club had done. So we spoke to them. They were lovely, and they came down, looked at the ground, and they said, "Look, it'd be an injustice to put you into tier 12. We want to put you into tier 11." And incredibly grateful for their support. They were super helpful through the entire application process, and that's where we play now. So it wasn't us going, "Hey, we want to be in this tier." It was the league saying, "You belong in that tier." So that was a real stamp of approval of what we'd done as a club so far. Before we'd really even been kicking a ball, and it was what happens off the field that has a larger indication on the level you play in than what happens on the field. Once you get there, you can start rising up leagues based on play, but it's the off field that is that jump between tier 11 and tier 10. So lots of hard work needs to go on off the pitch, and anyone that can help with that, greatly appreciated. August, we started playing games. Obviously, we got the VO, which allows people from around the world to watch the games. So, probably about 235 people watched our game against Bellevue. So, people were really engaging. And that's one that, yeah, we get 40, 45 away fans at that game, but then there's nearly 5 times that amount sitting there and watching that online. And that is fantastic to see. It's something that's been a real joy. And obviously, on top of that, once we've recorded the game, we're putting a highlights package online. We're putting the full game on YouTube if you want to sit there and watch the full game back after that. And it's one that we can put all this content out there because we have the ability to record it. And why wouldn't you record it? We've got owners all around the world in, I think it's 13 different countries. So we want to get that game to them so they can enjoy it. So yeah, the, the August games were tough. I thought we played really well in the first one against Alresford, and if we'd have had 11 players for the whole game, I think we at least get a draw out of that. The other ones we deserve to lose. There's no way to beat around the bush there. We weren't good enough, and it was always going to take time. It wasn't one where you thought, hey, they've had a few preseason games, a few training sessions. These guys are going to rip it up. Um, but it was certainly tougher than we thought. That was certainly my reading of it. So it's one that it took some time, but I never felt under that much pressure. I said, hey, we'll finish about 10th, 10th to 12th if it doesn't quite go as well as we want. But I knew there was a better future coming along. So who knows? We might finish higher than 10th, and that would be amazing. But I felt that was a realistic for year one. And that'll be as we hopefully progress through leagues in the future. Year one is always going to be a find your feet year. Year two, that's where you talk about, hey, how have we developed? Where are we getting? And as well, splitting the season into 2 parts, which I'll touch on a bit later when I get to December. September brought back-to-back wins. That was a great moment. To go and do it first against Barnston and then against Tiptree in much more convincing fashion, it sort of put anyone's doubts aside because it was a tough run to begin with. We were playing lots of the teams that are still around the top of the league now. And then when we started playing a couple of teams that were in the bottom half of the league, we showed we could definitely compete with that second half of the league and able to put together good results back to back as well. It wasn't one off. There was 2 really good performances, and that just breeds confidence into the team. October was tougher. There wasn't as many great results, but the performance level was a step above that first part of the season. It wasn't one where we're leaving the game thinking, what is our future? What's going to happen? It was like, oh, we were close, but the result and the bounce, there was a lot of bad luck. Every bounce went against us, and it was one that you were like, oh, it's just, we're doomed. So someone's got it in for us, and there was several times where you were like, oh, the keeper would save it and it just dropped right at the feet of their attacker. It wouldn't go anywhere else. There was like three defenders around and it just happened to go straight to their guy. There was a lot of that. And as well, whenever we were attacking, it was like, it'd take a deflection off someone and just go past the post rather than if they got a deflection, it went just inside the post. And you don't mind it as much when it's that point because you're like, you can see it's really close. Very, very different than sort of those first handful of games. And the other part, sort of off the pitch in October, we started hitting our rhythm as a committee, as volunteers, people stepping up. Everything started becoming that more natural. Game day wasn't so much of a planning, what's everyone doing, how do we do that? And there's still an element of that now, but it was more like, hey, it's business as usual. We know how to operate. And that definitely made things easier off the pitch. Just because it then allows us to focus on the next steps and how we can progress as a club. So great work by the committee and the volunteers that have helped out because you don't have to be on the committee to be a volunteer and help out. November brought the Xmas party and our first ever cup win. So a fantastic day. Obviously played gas recreation during the day and then had the party in the evening. A massive showing, lots and lots of people there, lots of the players there as well, which is always good to see. It's building that bond that goes beyond the pitch. It's not, hey, they turn up, they leave. They're definitely having a great time with each other, but then a great time with the owners and the fans as well. So that gives us confidence that these people want to buy in, and spoke to quite a few of them. They were a little bit intoxicated at the party, but telling me how much they appreciate the project and what they want to go and achieve with this club. It wasn't like, I want to play at a high level. It's like, yeah, I can't wait to be this club and we go play at a higher level. And that's really, really good to see. They're not viewing it as, hey, this is a stepping stone. They're viewing it as, I'm a young player. I want to go with this club and let's go play two leagues higher. Let's go play 3 leagues higher. And that's one that you love, that sense of ambition there, because you can have an older squad where it's like, hey, this is a 1 year and I'm out. And you need to have a blend of everything in the squad. But there's so many young guys that are like, I see what's going on here and I can't wait to be a part of it. And that's a real joy. And yeah, that gives me future that we can continue this and we'll keep adding better players, I'm sure. Players will come, players will go. And in all honesty, if there's a team, a league or two higher that takes one of our players, starts paying them, that's a good thing for me. I'm not looking at that as a negative. Yeah, for the short term, for a week or two, it'll be annoying. But at the same time, it's like, if we're seen as this place to go, where you go and play at East Thurrock and then suddenly teams are scouting you, you can go and play at a high level, that's great, because that's going to mean more players go, I want to go play for East Thurrock because this is what they do for me in my career. We train properly, we've got gym access, we do all this. And that will have knock-on benefits. And then December brought our first ever point against the top 7 team. So a really big milestone for what I wanted to see, because you can beat all the teams around the bottom. You can get up to about 5th in the league if you just consistently beat the teams in the bottom half. But if you've got ambitions more than that, you've got to start knocking off points against the other top teams. So it was the first time we picked up points against a top 7 team. And I think now the level of performances, because even Kings Park, we lost 2-1, but that could have easily been a point for the team. They played well. That's one that you can continue developing and seeing that future. So second half of the year, that's something I'm really, really keen to keep an eye on. We played a lot of these top teams when it's our first sort of 5 weeks as a club. That was going to be tougher. Now we're in a spot where we can talk about, hey, we feel we're going into these games as equals. What can we achieve? So a massive point to keep an eye on as we go along. But you just have to look, first 14 games of the season, so that's the halfway mark, picked up 10 points. We're 3 games into the second 14, and we picked up 7 points. Can't get complacent because there's been some weaker teams in that. It's not like the start of last season where we're playing like 3 of the top 4 in the first 4 games. But it's one that we can take comfort that we're a better team than we were in the first half of the season. And I think that's something that as a club we should strive to do every season. Every half a season, are we better than the last one? And if we keep doing that, and you don't have to improve by too much, but if you keep improving every half a season because the players get better, the coaches are able to get their vision across more and the performances improve. And as well that the club off the field improves, are we able to do more every 6 months? Is there more progress, whether it's digital through to facilities, through to football? It can be any part of it. Is everything every 6 months better than it was 6 months ago? Because if we keep that mindset across everything at the club, we get more volunteers every 6 months than we had previously, then this club will continue to go places. So thank you everyone so much for their support from September 2023 through till now. I know lots of people just look at the year when it's the end of the year, but it makes sense to add those few extra months on because that was the birth of this club. But thank you so much for your support. We go into a big 2025 where we'll continue to push on and we'll smash those points target that we got last 6 months, and we'll get significantly more than that. So really, really excited. Hope to see you all at a game in January, whether you're watching online or you're there in person at an owners meeting, the digital owners meeting. Thank you so much. And if you're watching this and you're not an owner yet, please, 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 £5 a month. Just click the link, become an owner, and we're so grateful for your support. As always, up the rocks.